I originally laid this out to where I did HTML, JavaScript, and CSS all in one lesson, and it turned out to be about 30 minutes. And that was just kind of breaking it down and explaining it. And in reality, I understand you guys aren't going to pay attention for 30 minutes to something, because if you want to mark something and go back and reference it, you're going to have to look through a 30-minute video, and that's unrealistic. So instead, I'm going to break this down piece by piece. And first, we're going to cover HTML stuff. So HTML has elements that we normally wrap our stuff in. Headers, paragraphs, breaks, all of these items we use to wrap our content so that we can make it easier to style later and to rearrange and possibly even add actions onto with JavaScript. So CSS is the styling, JavaScript is the actions, and then our HTML, like our open and close brackets, they help break it down a little bit more. So like this body right here, we wouldn't normally have this text sitting inside of it just by itself. We would have this wrapped in something. So like a paragraph tag, we'd go ahead and put it inside of there, save it. And if you come back over here and look at your code, it hasn't changed much. It just added a little bit of padding, which is fine. So let's break this down a little bit further. Doc type HTML, HTML, close HTML. This is the standard setup. Inside the head, we normally have our CSS and JavaScript information, and then we have our title. We have metadata that we can throw in there, but that's normally all that's inside of our head, and it's items that users normally don't see. If you want to get this opened, right-click and hit Inspect, and that'll pop this up. And as you can see, you hover over items and you see what it's, where it is and what it's doing. But as you can see, the head isn't, there's nothing attached to it, but that's because it's kind of a little bit behind the scenes work, and it's things that help recognize your website to other, to Google, to other items. You can do Facebook, stuff like that. But it's also like style sheet linking, things that the user doesn't need to see behind the scenes. So if we come back into our code, and let's go ahead and find out what title does. If we name this valet test and save it, and if we come back into our project and we look up here at this tab where it says valet test.test, refresh, there we go, it changed the valet test. And then if we, let's see, okay, so if we come in here inside of a body, we always normally have an H1 tag that kind of helps Google reference what the page could be. So we'll just say valet test, save it. And if you notice or not, our code, our text editor goes ahead and opens and closes these brackets for us. And that's a huge help. But yeah, so let's get into a little bit more. So there's the H1 tag. You understand what that does. There's also H2 tags, which if we say this is H2, save it, and then come over here and refresh. There we go. It's a little bit smaller than this one. And then if we come in here and say H3, it goes all the way, I believe, up to H6. This is H3, save that, and then refresh this. There we go. You can see it's getting a little bit smaller and smaller, and it would do that all the way to H6. So say we wanted to add an image into here. If I'll just kind of do an example. I searched funny cat into Google, and I like this image, so I'd right click it, say save image as, and we'll go ahead and save it to our desktop, which I've already done, but you did save. And then we'd come into our desktop and we would take this image and drag it into our folder, our valet test folder. And then we would come back to our text editor. Oh, there it is. And we would see it's right here. So to reference that, image tag is one that doesn't need an end bracket. So we just say image and then close it out. But to reference the image itself that we want to add in there, we'd have to say source equals, and since it's in our main folder, we would just say /hq default.jpg. Save that, come back here, into our valet test, refresh this, and there we go. We got the image in there. Let's see what else I can do. Links we'll cover a little bit later. Okay, so list items. So say you wanted a list of items and you wanted dots by them. Let me see if I can find. They've got to have a list somewhere in here. There it is, HTML lists. You can kind of do this and do it a little bit on your own if you want to, get a better grip of it. But this is how you would do lists. So if we just copied and pasted this directly into here and came back and refreshed our page, we should see what they had as well right there. Let's see, what else do we need? We've done images. Division tags. Okay, so a division tag, this is very important for styling. So say we did have something like we did originally, this text by itself in the body, but we didn't want to assign paragraphs to it because it's got a certain style. Instead, what we can use is a div tag, which stands for division. And we can paste this in here. And if we come back here, nothing should have changed with this text. So we just come back, there we go. But if you can tell inside your inspector, we do have the div brackets around it. So all of this stuff sets us up for being able to style and provide actions for our individual tabs. If you guys need a little bit extra help on this, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be able to help you out. But yeah, just for now, this is a good basis for what HTML brackets are and HTML elements, I should say, and how to lay them out. But yeah, our next lesson will kind of start adding some CSS to it, and I'll see you there.